Chapter 1. Inside the Maybach. Selena was being passionately kissed by Justin, losing herself in the moment. Her clothes had been completely removed, while Justin Kim remained impeccably dressed. The stark contrast between them made her blush uncontrollably. Justin wrapped his arm around her waist, pulling her closer as he chuckled in a low voice against her ear. The soundproof partition is down. The driver can't hear, and even if he could, he wouldn't dare listen. What are you shy about? As the usually composed man became increasingly fervent, Selena gazed at him with deep affection, holding on to him tightly. Just as the overwhelming pleasure was about to peak, a sudden phone ring shattered the moment. Being interrupted at such a time, Justin frowned. However, upon seeing the caller ID, he still chose to answer. Selena, panting slightly, glanced at the screen and saw that it was his closest friend, Alex. Justin, are you insane? Justin's brow furrowed as he interrupted him in fluent Italian. Not convenient. Speak in Italian. There was a long exhale from the other end before Alex finally spoke in Italian. Did you really register your marriage with Helen? What the hell are you thinking? Back then, you lost your sight saving her, and yet she abandoned you during your lowest point, running off with another man and nearly ruining you. And now you're getting back together with her? Those unfamiliar words automatically translated in Selena's mind. As she grasped what was being said, she felt a cold chill engulf her entire body, as if she had been plunged into an icy abyss. Yet Justin didn't notice her reaction. If I don't marry her, the Yu family will force her to wed an old man. I can't bear to see her suffer like that. Then what about Selena? She was the one who stayed by your side when you were blind. She's loved you all these years, nearly giving you her heart and soul. Every single one of us knows that. Despite the barely contained fury in Alex's voice, Justin remained indifferent. I'll find a way to hide it. She will never know. How long do you think you can keep this a secret? Forever? Doesn't Selena want to marry you? The more he listened, the more irritated Justin became. His tone turned impatient. You will block any news about my marriage to Helen. Do not tell anyone. I'll prepare a fake marriage certificate for seal later. Without waiting for Alex's response, he hung up the phone, lowering his gaze once more. Justin tossed the phone aside and resumed his actions with Selena. Selena trembled uncontrollably. Both reached their climax, and as they began to dress, she slightly parted her lips, about to speak, when Justin's phone chimed again. It was an Instagram notification from a special contact. Justin picked it up, glanced at the screen, and then instructed the driver to stop. Seal. Something urgent came up at the company. Can you get off here and take a cab home? She didn't say a word, merely nodded in silence and opened the car door. The black Maybach sped off like a flash of lightning. Standing by the roadside, Selena stared blankly at the bustling street. She could no longer hold back her tears as they gushed down uncontrollably. No one knew that, in order to close the distance between her and Justin, she had secretly learned Italian long ago. So every word exchanged between Justin and Alex, she had understood them all. Each syllable echoed in her ears, piercing through her heart like countless sharp blades. And with the shattering of her love, those long-buried memories surged back to the surface. Justin was a young master born into privilege, while she was merely the daughter of a servant. That year, she followed her mother into the resplendent Kim family mansion, where she first saw Justin elegantly playing the piano under the golden sunlight. She had never heard such beautiful music, nor had she ever seen such a striking young man. From that moment, the name Justin was carved deeply into her heart. She never told anyone about the person she secretly cherished, not just because of the insurmountable difference in their social status, but also because she knew that Justin already had someone he loved. Her name was Helen Yu, his childhood sweetheart. He never hid his feelings for her, treasuring her as if she were a precious gem. At the age of 17, in order to save Helen, Justin was involved in a car accident that left him blind. Since that day, Helen seemed to have disappeared into thin air and never set foot in Justin's family again. She even got a new boyfriend. Justin's family doesn't have only one grandchild. His parents are always busy with their careers and don't have time to care about the son who's now out of sight. Justin was left in the old house, feeling lonely and abandoned. It was Selena who volunteered to be transferred back to the old house and took care of him closely for 7 years. When she was 23, She even knelt in front of a famous doctor's house for 3 days and nights, begging him to come out of retirement and cure Justin's eye disease. The dusty pearl regained its brilliance and became an overnight sensation. In just 1 year, Justin rose to the top again and became the heir of Kim's company group. It was her who accompanied him through both winter and summer, through late nights until dawn, and through those difficult 7 years. It was also her who kissed him, hugged him, and slept with him, but she never expected that the first thing he would do after regaining power was to marry Helen, the one who had abandoned him. Over the years, she had worked hard to keep up with him, but no matter how she changed, Justin's parents always felt she wasn't good enough for their son, and several times they tried to pay her off. Justin would argue with his family for her, and she didn't want to disappoint him, so she never thought of leaving. Until today, Selena didn't want to stay by his side anymore, so she wiped her tears, took out her phone, and dialed a number. "Mrs. Kim, I'm willing to accept the $50 million you offered and leave Justin forever." Chapter 2. On the other end of the phone, Mrs. Jean was instantly excited when she heard those words. "Have you finally made up your mind? It's about time. A daughter of a nanny like you could never match up to the heir of Kim's company. Where are you now? Hurry up and come over. We'll sign the contract." Looking at the address she had eagerly sent over, Selena gave a self-deprecating smile and hailed a cab. After arriving at the cafe, Mrs. Jean asked her many questions. She answered each one, and Mrs. Jean showed a satisfied expression, pulling out an agreement and sliding it over. "Black and white. Once signed, no regrets. After you sign, I'll transfer half of the money to your account. The other half will be sent to you when you leave. You must guarantee that, after receiving the money, you'll never appear in front of Justin again. Understand?" Looking at the astronomical compensation amount on the contract, Selena's eyelashes fluttered. She, of course, would never appear again, in this life, and the next. She never wanted to see Justin again, so, without hesitation, she picked up the pen and quickly signed her name. Only then did Mrs. Jean finally relax, collecting the contract and standing up, giving one last reminder. "I'm giving you 2 weeks. You can disappear or go abroad. It's up to you, but you must make sure Justin can never see you again." "I understand, Mrs. Kim. Don't worry." After watching Mrs. Jean leave, Selena returned home. Making sure Justin would never see her again was easy. Justin's family has a special background, with generations in the military and politics, and none of them can go abroad for 3 generations. As long as she immigrated, Justin would never see her again. After flipping through international immigration details all night, she finally decided to move to Australia. Once she had made up her mind, Selena picked up her phone to check the time but saw a new Instagram notification. She clicked on it, and it was a 9-grid post from Helen. The top 3 photos were selfies of her holding roses. The middle 3 were wedding certificates, and the bottom 3 showed their intertwined hands. Selena knew that, since Justin wanted to keep their marriage a secret, he would never let Helen post anything like this. But she still posted it and made it visible only to Selena, to show off. Selena, understanding, liked the post. Just as she was exiting the app, she received a message from Justin. "Seal, I'm going on a business trip. Won't be back for the next few days." She replied with okay, then put down her phone and went to freshen up. The next day, Selena woke up early to handle her immigration procedures. In a hurry, she applied for the expedited service. The staff promised it would be done within half a month, which relieved her. On the way back, she checked Instagram again. This time, Justin was half visible in the picture. The 2 of them were holding hands, looking at a new house, and they finally decided on a villa on the outskirts of the city. She liked the post again, just like the day before. The 3rd day, Selena went to her company to resign. After packing her things and returning home, she saw that Helen had already put on a wedding dress, with a sparkling diamond ring on her ring finger. She liked the post as usual, then buried herself under the covers. The 4th day, when she woke up, Instagram was updated again with new content. This time, the camera focused on the wedding photo hanging in the new house. Selena stared at it for a while before coming back to her senses. She liked the post again, then put on makeup, went out, and had a farewell dinner with a few close friends. In the evening, she returned home with several suitcases, throwing away everything related to Justin. The gifts he had given her over the years, the matching toothbrush cups, the photos they had taken together. Nothing was left. Everything was thrown in the trash. After finishing, it was already late at night. She was about to turn off the lights and rest when Justin suddenly came back. When he saw the empty room, he froze, frowning. Why are there so few things in here? I didn't like them anymore, so I threw them away. We can buy new ones in the future. Justin nodded, took off his clothes and threw them on the sofa, but his gaze was caught by a suitcase nearby. Did you quit your job? After a pause, he noticed something on the coffee table. Why are you taking out the household registration book all of a sudden? I was too tired and wanted a break, so I resigned. The household registration book is because I have some paperwork to handle, Selena explained as she packed her things into her bag. Seeing her so calm, Justin didn't think much about it. He pulled her into his arms, speaking gently. I've been busy these past few days and haven't had time to accompany you. Your birthday is in a couple of days. How about I take you to an auction tomorrow and pick out a gift? Selena didn't refuse. The next day, as they sat down in the hall, Selena saw Helen. She swaggered over and sat next to Justin. The whole evening, Justin kept talking to Selena, not even glancing at Helen. After the auction, Justin didn't stay and pulled Selena downstairs immediately. Before going home, Selena stopped by the bathroom. When she came out, she saw Helen surrounded by a group of people in the stairwell, being teased. Hey, isn't this our Mizu? You abandoned Justin back then, and now look at where you are. Isn't this karma? I heard your dad's going to marry you off to some old man with one foot in the grave. I still see some charm in you. Why don't you come with us instead? We'll definitely take care of you. Before the last words were out, they were interrupted. Justin came down from upstairs, his face dark as night. He kicked the group of rowdy young men. Chapter 3. Then, Justin pressed the leader of the group to the ground, delivering punch after punch, showing no mercy. He beat them so badly that they were left with bleeding heads, begging for mercy. We're sorry, Executivo Kim. We were wrong. Please forgive us. Get lost. If I ever see you in front of her again, you'll have to face the consequences. His furious scolding scared them into running away. With their tails between their legs, a crowd had gathered in the stairwell. Watching the scene, Justin ignored the prying eyes and helped Helen to her feet. Are you hurt? Helen threw herself into his arms, crying as if heartbroken. I twisted my ankle. It hurts so much. Justin's expression darkened, and without another word, he picked her up, pushed through the crowd, and walked quickly away. To protect the person in his arms, he extended his arm, accidentally pushing Selena to the ground. Her head hit the hard steps, causing a wound that bled profusely, shocking the onlookers. You're bleeding from your head. Quick, call 120. Selena's face twisted in pain, and cold sweat broke out on her body. Warm blood oozed through her fingers, dripping onto her lashes. Feeling unbearably heavy, she looked at Justin, who left without a second glance, and bitterness filled her heart. In the past, when she cut her finger while making soup for him, he would be distressed for a long time, insisting on calling a doctor to make sure there wouldn't be any scars. She had complained that he was overreacting, but he would lower his head and kiss her hand, gently telling her, Seal, you are the person I cherish most. When you're hurt, I feel it more than you do. Now that our lives are improving, you don't need to do these things anymore. Your hand will wear the ring I gave you. Scars wouldn't look good. But now, when she was hurt, he didn't care, and the ring he had promised to give her was now on someone else's finger. The ambulance took Selena to the hospital. She registered, saw the doctor, and got her medication all alone, finally arriving home late at night. That night, the pain kept her from sleeping, tossing and turning in bed. Justin Kim didn't return that night. The next morning, dragging her exhausted body out of bed to change her bandages, she saw Helen's Instagram. It was a video of Justin kneeling down, rubbing Helen's feet and applying medicine. Selena watched the video several times, her eyes reddening, And before she knew it, she had fallen asleep. When she woke up again, it was already dark outside. Her phone next to the pillow buzzed continuously. She picked up the phone and heard Justin's voice giving an address. Western Restaurant, Box 703. Come over now. Selena hesitated for a moment before getting up. She freshened up and rushed over. As soon as she opened the door to the private room, she saw Helen Yu. She was red-eyed, looking like a wronged little rabbit, pitiful and helpless. Justin stared at her in silence, his face carrying an inscrutable expression. The room was quiet for a long time before Selena couldn't hold back and spoke up. You called me here. What's going on? Justin straightened his back, clasped his hands together, and adopted the posture of someone in authority. Seal. Those thugs yesterday. Did you call them here to deliberately cause trouble for her? Selena froze. She instinctively glanced at Helen and caught the smug look in her eyes. In an instant, she realized that this whole situation was likely a play staged by Helen. She smiled bitterly. It wasn't me. I don't know them, and I'm not interested in causing trouble. Justin's expression didn't soften with her explanation. He lowered his gaze, his tone calm. Seal. The moment Helen decided to abandon me, I completely let her go. You've been with me for 7 years. You should know who is in my heart now. Yu's family is in decline, and anyone can step on them, but it shouldn't be you. You don't need to make things difficult for her because of me. Hearing this, Selena's heart shook violently. She couldn't help but recall the nights he had spent venting his pain, the times she had accompanied him through endless visits to doctors, and the moment when they were told he would never regain his sight. His silent demeanor, the favored son of heaven, who lost his sight for the sake of a girl. But those despair-filled days and nights, 7 years in total, were now brushed aside by him lightly, as if they had never happened. Finally, she thought of the marriage certificate with his and Helen's stamped seal, and tears welled up in her eyes. Yes, after being together for 7 years, how did I only just find out who holds your heart? Upon hearing this, Justin's gaze slightly narrowed. What do you mean? Selena shook her head, her lips curling into a self-deprecating smile. What I mean is, I'm just the daughter of a servant. How could I have the ability or connections to bring these people together to humiliate a young lady, even though she laid everything out clearly? Justin still didn't believe her. Selena was tired. She took a deep breath and gave up on further explanation. Since you don't believe me, just tell me directly. What do you want me to do? Justin pressed his fingers to his forehead. Apologize. Seal. When you've done something wrong, you need to say sorry. At this moment, Helen, who had been looking pitiful beside them, suddenly spoke up. Forget about the apology. If you truly feel sorry for me, just drink these wines. Chapter 4. The table was covered with bottles of orange-yellow whiskey. Selena's gaze lifted and landed on Justin, hoping for a definitive answer from him, but the dim lighting made it impossible to read his expression. In the endless silence, Selena felt a little suffocated. She gasped for air, and many past memories flooded her mind. When she first entered the old house, because Justin couldn't see, he would numb himself with alcohol every day. She worried about his health and tried to stop him, but he wouldn't listen, until one day, after getting drunk, he scoffed and pushed a few bottles of liquor toward her. Now even the daughter of a servant dares to control me. Have I really fallen so low? Fine. Drink this, and I'll listen to you. Selena wanted to tell him that wasn't the case, that she wasn't trying to control him. She was worried about him. So even though she was allergic to alcohol, she didn't hesitate for a second. She picked up the bottle and drank it all. Within minutes, she was rushed to the hospital. When she woke up, she saw him sitting by her bedside, his face dark as he said, "The drunk one was me, not you. You know you're allergic to alcohol. Why would you risk your life like this?" Selena only replied with one sentence. "I was worried about you. Young master, your eyes will eventually see again. Even if they don't, I'll be by your side forever. So don't give up, okay?" From that day on, Justin quit drinking. For the following years, there wasn't a single bottle of alcohol in the house. As she reminisced, Selena smiled, but her eyes shimmered with tears. She didn't explain further. Instead, she leaned down, picked up some mustard powder that was placed aside, and poured it into the whiskey glass with a determined tone. These drinks are not enough to show sincerity, are they? Let me add something extra to punish myself. Is this enough? With that, she raised the glass, tilted her head, and drank one glass after another. The spicy and bitter taste spread across her lips and teeth, occupying her stomach and reaching the heart that could not be touched. After the 7th glass, Justin, unable to tolerate it anymore, finally shouted, "Enough!" Looking at the remaining half-filled glasses, Selena smiled. Is this enough? Does this count as my apology? Is it enough to make your beloved happy? At this, Justin suddenly stood up and grabbed her hand. His face, usually emotionless, was now so dark it seemed like it could drip water. You know I don't mean it like that. Seal. I told you. I've completely let go of Helen. Justin's family doesn't approve of you entering the family. You did something so extreme. People will find an excuse to criticize you. I just don't want you to be embarrassed or judged. Justin spoke confidently, as if his reasoning was sound, but Selena couldn't help but laugh. Justin's family didn't approve of a low-born servant's daughter entering the family. But would they approve of Helen, who repaid kindness with enmity, marrying in? But even if there were thousands of difficulties ahead, as long as Helen spoke a word, wouldn't he still marry her? Everything, it seemed, was just an excuse for not loving her enough. Selena didn't want to argue anymore. She shook off his hand and turned to leave. As she reached the door, her body swayed, and she fainted. Seal. Justin's heart skipped a beat. Without hesitation, he rushed to her side, picked her up, and was about to leave. Helen immediately grabbed his sleeve, her voice trembling with tears. Justin, I feel dizzy. Justin stopped in his tracks, but within seconds, he took a few big strides and left, leaving only one sentence. I'm taking Seal to the hospital. You can call the assistant to take care of things here. When Selena woke up again, she realized she had been brought to the hospital. Justin, who hadn't slept all night, let out a sigh of relief when she opened her eyes. They stared at each other for a long time without speaking. Justin poured her a glass of warm water, tucked the blanket around her, and called the doctor for a checkup, patiently writing down the instructions. Several meetings were scheduled, but he canceled them all. Seeing the secretary awkwardly waiting outside, Selena finally spoke up. You go ahead and take care of things. I can take care of myself. You shouldn't be doing this for me. Justin hesitated for a moment, his hand holding the knife faltering. His voice was slow. I should be doing this. Seal, don't you remember? Back then, you took care of me just like this. A flash of confusion crossed Selena's eyes. Back then, when he lost his sight, he was abandoned by the wealthy family like an unwanted child. Only she would teach him Braille, attend classes with him, take him to sunbathe, and prepare all kinds of food for him. She had seemed to privately possess the moon, and her otherwise bleak life had been illuminated as brightly as daylight. Those 7 years, too, had been some of the happiest moments of her life. But alas, the moon didn't belong to her, and she could never return to the past. In the afternoon, the doctor took Selena for a checkup. Half an hour later, the nurse helped her back to her room. As soon as she opened the door, she saw Justin holding her phone, frowning as he spoke coldly to Mrs. Jean. I told you, Seal and I truly love each other. We like each other, and I don't care about her background. You don't need to waste your efforts. I will marry her, and she will never leave me. When he heard the noise, he looked up at her, and the next second, Mrs. Jin's voice, full of confusion, reached his ears. What do you mean she won't leave? Don't you know? Selena already promised me she was going abroad a few days ago. Chapter 5. The conversation abruptly stopped. Selena dragged her tired steps forward, snatched her phone back, and hung up. Justin stared at her in shock, not understanding why she was so upset. What's wrong? Seeing his confused expression, Selena realized he hadn't heard the entire conversation with Mrs. Jean. She let out a sigh of relief, turned her eyes away, and tried to sound calm. It's nothing. I just didn't want you two to keep arguing because of me. Recently, Justin's family had been constantly causing trouble over his relationship with Selena. trying to break them apart. And he had indeed argued with them multiple times. Hearing her words, Justin no longer doubted her and shifted the topic to ask about the checkup results. The doctor said there's nothing major, and I can be discharged. After returning home, Justin hadn't gone out much, staying by Selena's side instead. She wasn't as lively and cheerful as before, often sitting in the corner in a daze, looking disinterested. Justin couldn't figure out the reason. He tried to comfort her by holding her, but she stood up and went back to the bedroom. I'm not feeling well, I'll rest for a while. Seeing her retreating figure, Justin was surprised. He thought she was still upset about the apology and had prepared a surprise for her. On her birthday, he threw a special party to celebrate. For Justin's sake, most people in their circle showed up. In front of him, they were polite to Selena, but as soon as he left, they would gather to gossip and make cruel remarks. If it wasn't for Executivo Kim, I'd never attend a servant's daughter's birthday party. It's embarrassing to even say it. I don't know what Executivo Kim sees in her. Look at her. Such a poor and humble appearance. It's disgusting. Executivo Kim is really kind-hearted. If it were me, I'd just throw some money at her. If he really marries her, that would be a disgrace to the Justin family. Though she was the guest of honor, Selena stood alone, neglected by everyone. Hearing the blatant insults and mockery from all sides, she felt utterly exhausted. If it weren't for the fear of Justin noticing something wrong, she wouldn't have even bothered to attend. The deliberate exclusion made every second unbearably painful. At 7 o'clock, the banquet hall suddenly became lively. All the guests turned around to look at the entrance, their faces shifting from disdain to ingratiation. The news had spread quickly in their circle, who didn't know about the fight Justin had with Helen. This was clearly a sign that he still cared, and so they hurriedly tried to please him. Executivo Kim, you were just stepping out to greet Ms. Yu, right? After all these years, your bond is still strong. Of course, they're childhood sweethearts. Look at Ms. Yu's demeanor. She truly matches the distinguished Executivo Kim. Amid the speculations, Selena looked at Helen walking in arm with Justin, and everything suddenly made sense. Helen was wearing a luxurious haute couture gown, a sparkling diamond necklace highlighting her tall figure. Her delicate face radiated a noble aura, cultivated by wealth and luxury. Even standing next to the powerful Justin, she didn't seem out of place or shy. Out of nowhere, Selena remembered the time after Justin regained his sight when he had drawn a sketch without a face. He had said it was just a casual drawing, and she thought it looked nice without giving it much thought. But seeing Helen now, Selena realized who the person in the sketch truly was. It wasn't a reunion. It was someone he had never truly forgotten. Selena lowered her eyes and turned away silently, but Helen stopped her. Ms. Seal, I heard today is your birthday. I hope you don't mind me showing up uninvited. I even brought a gift for you. Saying this, she signaled for someone to bring over a pure white puppy. It's called Kelly. Isn't it cute? Seeing the energetic little dog jump toward her, Selena instinctively took a few steps back, bumping into the table. Her face paled slightly, and fear and panic filled her eyes. Please, take it away. I don't like dogs. Chapter 6. Hearing this, Helen's face instantly dropped. Justin, is Ms. Seal still angry with me because of what happened last time? If so, I'll leave. I don't want to disturb you too. With that, she turned to leave, but Justin quickly grabbed her and furrowed his brows. Looking at Selena, she meant well. Seal, you've always liked little animals, haven't you? Accept the gift. Seeing the displeasure in his eyes, Selena clenched her hands tightly, and could only turn to his secretary. Secretary Liu, I'm not comfortable in high heels. Could you please hold the dog for me? The people around her began to murmur sarcastically, saying she couldn't tell what was good for her and was being difficult on purpose. Justin also thought she was deliberately giving Helen a hard time. With a dark expression, he took Helen inside. The party space soon emptied out, leaving Selena all alone. She poured herself a glass of water and drank it slowly, trying to calm her racing thoughts and anxiety. In the past, she had really liked dogs, but 5 years ago, on a stormy night when the power went out, Justin had a high fever, and she went out in the rain to get help. A neighbor's wolf dog chased her down and bit her on the calf. In the end, she endured the pain, called a doctor, and only after confirming that Justin was safe did she tend to her wound. Since then, she had developed a fear of dogs, but she had never told him, not wanting to worry him. Even through her dress, she could still feel the outline of the scar on her leg. The people attending the banquet were all well-versed in reading the room. When they saw Justin's attitude, they openly gave Selena the cold shoulder. By the time the celebration part of the party began, everyone had gathered around Helen as if it was her birthday. Justin's anger had somewhat subsided, and only then did he call Selena over to blow out the candles. She walked over quietly and was about to make a wish when Helen, seeming overly excited, interrupted her. "Oh, what a coincidence. Ms. Seal, you and Kelly have the same birthday. Why don't we celebrate together?" As soon as those words left her mouth, everyone around them snickered, seeing the provocation in Helen's eyes. Selena clenched her fists so tightly her nails dug into her palms. She took a deep breath and replied coldly, "In that case, let the little dog blow out the candles, and everyone can sing a birthday song to it. I won't disturb you." Seeing that she was really going to leave, Justin's veins bulged in his forehead. His voice dropped as he called out to her, "Seal, this is your birthday celebration. Are you really going to leave now? How can you act like this?" Selena ignored him, turned, and started walking toward the door, unable to take it anymore. Justin chased after her, grabbed her, and whispered something in her ear before pushing her back toward the cake. "Behave! Everyone here is from the circle. If you leave like this, it'll be a mess in front of Justin's family. They'll oppose us even more." Agree with them? What else was he talking about? Hadn't he already married Helen? The cheerful birthday song played in the background, but Selena only managed to curl her lips in a stiff, emotionless smile, like a statue, showing no signs of happiness. Suddenly, someone handed the little dog to her, and her body broke out in goosebumps. Halfway through the song, the little dog started moving restlessly and jumped out of her arms. The towering champagne tower toppled over, crashing toward Selena and Helen. Screams filled the room as the falling glasses blurred in Selena's vision. She watched helplessly as Justin held Helen close and moved away, while countless glasses of wine smashed against her. The sharp glass fragments scraped her pale shoulder, leaving long, bloody marks. The blood dripped down, staining her already damp white dress red. She collapsed to the ground, unable to hold back a groan of pain, cold sweat pouring from her forehead. Hearing her cry, Justin turned around. When he saw she was hurt, he started to rush back, but Helen screamed, "Ah, Justin, Kelly scratched me. Will I get rabies?" Seeing the small scratch on her ankle, Justin hesitated for a moment, then instructed his secretary, "Take Seal to the hospital to treat her wounds." With that, he quickly left with Helen. The guests began to leave, making sure to add insult to injury. Kelly, Seal. Miss Seal really knows how to pick names. Doesn't she remind you of a stray dog? Don't insult Kelly. Kelly is adorable, not like some mutt trying to climb the social ladder. Every word was clearly heard by Selena. She looked at her disheveled state, her nose tinged with the scent of tears, and her eyes filled with them. The birthday sign wobbled and fell in front of her. She picked it up and stared at the chaotic scene after the crowd had left. Finally, she could cry freely, without any restraint. Her 23rd birthday had come to a tragic end. Chapter 7. In the early hours of the morning, Selena finally dragged her exhausted body home. After turning on the lights, her phone rang a few times. It was a message from Helen. You must have seen from my Instagram that Justin and I have registered our marriage. He also said he would give me a wedding in the Maldives. I saw the venue, and it's magnificent. Every detail is just like what we imagined when we were young. I never thought that after all these years, he hadn't forgotten about it. I also want to thank you. If it weren't for you, Justin wouldn't have regained his sight. I really appreciate you taking care of my husband for 7 whole years. Looking at these shameless jabs, Selena no longer had the strength to be angry. She lay down in her bedroom and fell into a deep sleep. That night, Justin still didn't come back, but he sent a message. "Seal, I have some things to handle. Are your wounds serious? If it hurts too much, let me know, and I'll come back right away." Selena quietly stared at the message. Her gaze flickered for a long time before she replied with a single sentence. No need, Justin. From now on, I won't need you anymore. When the wound on her shoulder had scabbed over, Selena returned to Justin's family's old house alone. Back when Justin had lost his sight, the place where he and she had lived was just the two of them. She took a hoe and went to the peach tree in the yard. Still full of life. Underneath, she dug up the box from Justin's 18th birthday. The wish they had made. The iron box had rusted, and the sealed glass jar was covered with condensation. She took out the folded paper shaped like stars and opened it, revealing her handwriting. I hope Justin can see the world again. I hope Justin is safe and well. I hope I can always be by Justin's side. Her wishes for the future were all about Justin. Some had come true. Others, she would never be able to fulfill in this lifetime. Next, she opened another note, written by Jean Hansheng. I hope I can regain my sight. I hope Helen is well. Every word was about him and Helen, with no mention of her. It turned out that he had never blamed Helen for abandoning him. He was willing to endure the hardship of the car accident for her, without resentment or regret. Selena smiled bitterly and crumpled the note she had written, tossing it down the drain. Then, she took off the necklace around her neck. It was a gift Justin had bought for her with the money from his first business deal after returning to Justin's family. She had felt sorry for him spending so much money, but he kept kissing her. Seal. They say it's lonely at the top, but as long as you're by my side, I have the courage to keep climbing. This is just a necklace. From now on, everything I have, including myself, belongs to you. She buried the necklace, along with everything from the past. After filling the hole, Selena turned to go home, but as soon as she reached the door, she ran into Justin and Helen. When he saw her, there was a flash of surprise in his eyes. Seal. What are you doing here? Selena didn't answer, but instead asked a question of her own. What about you? What are you two doing here? Before Justin could speak, Helen smiled and said, It's been a long time since I heard Justin play the piano. He said the piano is at the old house, so we came to pick it up. Ms. Seal, you're familiar with the place, so lead the way. Without asking for Selena's consent, Helen took her by the arm and led her toward the villa. Chapter 8. As the door opened, countless memories rushed into Selena's mind. The furnishings in the room were exactly the same as they had been the day they left, unchanged in any way. Perhaps because they had lived here for so long, the return to this familiar place moved Justin as well. He turned to look at Selena. Seal, do you remember when we... I don't remember. Selena lowered her head, her voice barely audible. Justin froze for a moment and then pointed to the Lego model in the corner. Didn't we put it in the study after we finished building it? Why is it here? Selena didn't follow his gaze. She answered him flatly. You can't see. Many memories are like illusions. They're confused, just like how she once thought Justin loved her. But in reality, to him, she was just an illusion born out of desperation, like thirsting for water while dreaming of plums. Because he couldn't see, he had to rely on touch. She was like a guiding stick to him, so he thought she was important. But after he regained his sight, able to do whatever he wanted, she became insignificant, and she had believed that the support they gave each other when they were young would carry them through all the storms. In the end, it was nothing more than a dream, an illusion. Seeing the fleeting loneliness on Selena's face, Justin felt a weight in his chest. He wanted to ask her what had happened, but she turned and walked out to the balcony. The piano is in the room at the end of the hallway. You can go there yourselves. Listening to the fading footsteps, Selena sat in the rocking chair, slowly closing her eyes. Before long, the sky, once bright and sunny, suddenly grew dark, and the rain began to fall. She got up and returned to the living room, just as she heard the sound of piano music. It was the first piano piece she had ever heard in her life. Liebstrom. As she listened, she felt as if she had returned to the summer of her 10th year. Unconsciously following the sound, through the window, she saw Justin and Helen sitting at the piano, playing four-handed. Even though so many years had passed, the chemistry between them had not diminished at all. It was just like the old days. And after 7 years, when Justin looked at her, there was still endless affection in his eyes. It turned out Justin loved Helen so much that even after she abandoned him for 7 whole years, he never forgot her. Indeed, they were both the pride of heaven, one a gifted son, the other a gifted daughter. She was just a servant's daughter. Why did she have to barge into a world that wasn't hers? Why had she foolishly hoped to possess someone who didn't belong to her? If time could rewind, she wouldn't have fallen in love with Justin at first sight. She wouldn't have secretly liked him, and she certainly wouldn't have thrown everything away to care for him for 7 years while he was blind. The sound of the piano gradually faded, and then became silent. She didn't know when it happened, but Helen's hand had rested on Justin's, sliding upward. Through the window, she saw Helen climb up his shoulder, offering her red lips willingly. "Justin, I know, you still love me." At that moment, Selena couldn't bear it any longer and turned to leave. The rain grew heavier, soaking her completely. Her mind was a blur. One moment, she felt like withered grass on the edge of a cliff, and the next, like a solitary boat overturned by the waves, rootless and without support, drifting aimlessly. Even her tears disappeared into the rain. No trace left behind. Chapter 9. After returning home, Selena took out the suitcase and started packing the last of her belongings. She worked until dawn, and Justin still hadn't come back. She didn't care anymore. The next day, Selena went to the immigration office and picked up all her documents. On the way back, she booked a flight that was leaving in the afternoon. When the car stopped at the entrance, she saw the Maybach parked in the yard and quickened her pace. As soon as she entered the bedroom, she saw Justin standing next to her suitcase, seemingly about to open it. In a moment of panic, she blurted out, "Aren't you with Helen? Why are you back?" Justin froze completely. He slowly turned around, and as he lifted his head, there was unmistakable anger in his eyes. He walked toward Selena, his voice filled with deep helplessness. "Seal, what are you thinking again? I told you, I'm done with Helen." "Done with Helen? But you even got the marriage certificate to protect her." Selena smiled through her tears but still chose not to confront him. "I must have misunderstood." Seeing that her face didn't show any signs of suspicion, Justin let out a small sigh of relief. "Tonight, Justin's family is having a family dinner. My family has agreed to let you come with me." At this, Selena froze for a moment. Justin's parents agreed? Seeing the stunned look on her face, Justin rubbed her head and handed her a card. "Seal, don't worry. One day, I'll make them recognize you and you'll stand by my side openly. I'm a little tired now, so I want to rest for a while. Can you go with my secretary to pick out a few suitable dresses?" Selena stared at the card for a moment before taking it. "You rest. I'll go by myself." Justin rubbed his temples and nodded. Selena placed the documents she had just picked up into her bag. Justin lay down on the bed and fell into a deep sleep. Looking at his face, which hadn't changed much since he was 17, Selena was momentarily lost in thought. She raised her hand one last time and gently traced his brow. Perhaps sensing her small movements in his sleep, Justin grabbed her hand, mumbling softly, "Helen, stop it." Hearing the name, Selena smiled silently. She withdrew her hand, picked up her luggage, and went downstairs. The villa was quiet, with the servants all on their lunch break. No one knew she had left. On the way to the airport, Selena blacklisted and deleted all of Justin's contact information. Then, she deactivated all her social media accounts. The busy airport was full of people coming and going. She looked at the flashing display board and made the last call. "Mrs. Kim, I've arrived at the airport as agreed, and I'm about to board my flight." On the other end of the line, Mrs. Jean was very pleased, and her voice couldn't hide her joy. "Good. As long as you don't show up at tonight's family dinner, the rest of the money will be transferred to your account." "Goodbye then." Hearing the boarding announcement on the radio, Selena gently shook her head. "No, Mrs. Kim, it's goodbye forever." She then hung up the phone, threw it into the trash can, and walked toward the boarding gate, with long strides, and no turning back. Chapter 10. Justin's sleep was anything but peaceful. He vaguely dreamt of some past events, the dark, confused pain resurfacing once more. But this time, the girl who had always quietly stayed by his side was gone. "Seal," He murmured her name, his brows furrowing tightly. As the nightmare gripped him, his chest heaved violently. In the dream, he fumbled to get up, searching everywhere for the person who should have been there with him. No matter how much he called out, the silence around him was deafening. Overcome by intense fear, he suddenly opened his eyes wide, beads of sweat covering his forehead. The curtains blocked the light well, and the room was pitch black. His heart was racing, and for a moment, he couldn't tell if he was still in a dream or in reality. He sat up, his voice trembling. "Seal?" Silence filled the room. He called again, "Seal!" When no one responded, he stumbled to his feet, shakily reaching for the light switch. The room was immediately filled with light. Only when he clearly saw everything in the room did he let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. The panic from the nightmare slowly faded, and Justin rubbed his forehead when he saw that the person he was hoping to find wasn't there. He stood frozen for a moment. Where was Selena? His heart, which had just settled, began to race again. He panted for breath and quickly opened the door. The villa was eerily quiet, with only a few servants cleaning the living room. When they saw Justin emerge from his room, they greeted him. "Where's Seal?" He almost couldn't contain his urgency. "Miss Seal? We haven't seen her. Shouldn't she be resting with you in your room?" Just as he was about to say something, his phone in his pocket buzzed with a familiar notification. He instinctively checked the message. On his phone, Helen's voice came through, sounding pitiful. "Justin, my living room light is broken, and no one's home. Can you come over and help me?" Justin furrowed his brows, ready to refuse, but another voice message came through. "Justin, I know you're taking Miss Seal back to Justin's family tonight. I'm alone here, and if there's no light..." The rest of the sentence trailed off, replaced by the sound of soft sobbing. "If Seal comes back, call me. I've got something to take care of." With those words, Justin went back to his room, changed clothes, and grabbed his car keys, heading out the door. When he arrived at Helen's house and opened the door, he saw Helen casually dressed in a light sleep robe, lying on the couch in a side position. The exposed whiteness of her chest was apparent. Hearing the noise, she opened her eyes, seeming as though she had just woken up. "Justin, you're here." She seemed overly happy, running up to him and immediately throwing herself into his arms, her softness pressing against his chest, sending waves of tingling sensation through him. "Why are you dressed like this? What if you catch a cold?" He instinctively wrapped his arms around her, allowing her to bury herself completely in his embrace. "I'm a little scared. If you hadn't come, I'd be alone tonight." Her voice trailed off with a sense of helplessness, and he almost immediately responded, "Then why don't you come back to Justin's family with me tonight?" As soon as those words left his mouth, he regretted them. He was about to say something to backtrack, but the person in his arms had already looked up, her eyes red, staring at him. "Really? Justin?" Chapter 11. In that moment, the words of refusal simply wouldn't come out. But seeing his troubled expression, Helen's tears immediately started to fall. "Justin, are you really struggling with this? It's okay. If it's too difficult for you, I won't go today." She had expected that Justin would immediately lower his voice and comfort her, but the man in front of her suddenly seemed relieved and reached out to pat her head. "Today is a bit special. You shouldn't come with me." Helen's eyes widened in disbelief, a flicker of resentment flashing through them before they quickly turned back to a pitiful expression. The tears that had been on the verge of stopping now fell in large drops. "Justin." But Justin seemed clearly distracted. Not noticing her at all, he pushed the person in his arms away a little and looked up at the light above him, asking, "Is it really broken?" When she saw that he wasn't acting according to her wishes, Helen bit her lip and reluctantly muttered, sitting on the sofa with a pout, refusing to look at him. Justin, however, wasn't thinking about her. His mind kept drifting back to the dream he had that day, and the growing panic in his heart was almost overwhelming him. Noticing Justin's abnormal behavior, Helen moved closer, sobbing as she tugged at Justin's sleeve. "Justin, what's wrong with you?" Justin snapped back to reality, his heart racing so violently that cold sweat began to bead on his forehead. He shook off Helen's hand, frowned, and took out his phone, intending to call Selena. But strangely, The call wouldn't go through. The beeping noise made him increasingly anxious. Helen, I have to go. I'll send someone over to fix it later. He hurriedly threw out those words, not waiting for Helen's reaction, and opened the door to leave, watching the door slam shut in front of her. The resentment in Helen's eyes almost overflowed. She didn't need to think hard. She knew Justin was rushing out to find that slut. Selena. She took out her phone and quickly typed a message. Selena, why are you so shameless? Do you just want to be an unacknowledged mistress? Why don't you go die? When she hit send, the glaring red exclamation mark popped up. Selena had blocked her. A sudden wave of unease rose in her chest. Instinctively, she quickly deleted the provocative message she had sent to Selena. Meanwhile, back at home, Justin opened the door, only to find the empty space he had been longing for still vacant. Where's Seal? She hasn't come back yet? For some reason, his voice trembled with anxiety. We haven't seen Miss Seal since noon. Sir, by the way, sir, when we were tidying the room, we noticed it seems Miss Seal's things are all gone. When he heard this, a chill ran down his spine, and his whole body began to tremble uncontrollably. What do you mean? The servant, slightly puzzled, looked up, showing confusion on their face. Sir, didn't you take all of Miss Seal's things? I saw all her clothes were gone, and I thought you were going to buy her new ones. Chapter 12. A sudden jolt ran through his chest, and his gaze instinctively began to search the living room. It was as if he was waiting for Selena to appear before him at any moment. Seal. Justin repeatedly called her name, but the panic in his heart only grew stronger. An impossible thought slowly began to rise within him. Had Seal left him? He didn't want to believe it. Seal, are you playing a joke on me? Come out. This joke isn't funny at all. This morning was my fault. But Helen and I are really just friends. Please believe me, okay? Justin spoke as he walked, his eyes scanning around, trying to find Selena hiding somewhere. Only then did he realize, with a jolt, that there seemed to be a lot fewer things in the villa. Their photos together, Selena's personal belongings. Everything was gone. How could this happen? How could everything be gone? Justin was on the verge of losing his mind. The dream from that morning resurfaced in his mind, but he wasn't ready to give up. He pulled out his phone and tried calling Selena again, but all he could hear was a series of beeping sounds, and with trembling hands, he sent Selena a message, only to see a glaring red exclamation mark. Selena had blocked him. His pupils dilated in shock, his body trembling, as an overwhelming sense of fear consumed him completely. He numbly scrolled through his phone, searching for any of Selena's social media accounts, but they were all gone. She had deactivated everything, every single account. His mind went blank, trying desperately to figure out where she could have gone. Selena's father had passed away when she was young, and her mother had also passed away a few years ago due to illness. He could only place his hopes on Sam's friends. Hello? This is Justin. Is Seal with you? Huh? What nonsense are you talking about? How could Seal be here? He had this conversation countless times. Even Justin's own friends had been asked, and no one knew where Selena had gone. The intense despair overwhelmed him again and again. It was like he had entered a nightmare, one without Selena. His feelings for Selena now filled every corner of his heart, and her sudden departure felt like a part of his heart had been ripped out. It was like the flesh had been painfully torn away, and the excruciating pain almost shattered him. Seal, don't play with me, okay? I just want to see you. Justin screamed hoarsely, his eyes bloodshot, like a lion that had lost its mate. But why? Why? He asked himself. All the details of the time he had spent with Selena during these days echoed in his mind. At that moment, he suddenly remembered how he had been favoring Helen recently and ignoring Selena, and the day she had stiffened when she heard him speak in Italian to his friends. Seal, did she ever study Italian? The servant, noticing the manic look on his face, cautiously spoke up. Miss Seal has been learning the language for years. She even hired a tutor. Sir, didn't you know? The sound of a ringing in his ears was deafening, and the last thread of logic in his mind snapped completely. Chapter 13. So Selena had understood their conversation back then. She had known all along that he and Helen had gotten the marriage certificate and were planning to keep it a secret from her. Justin felt a surge of panic. He had thought he was hiding everything well, that he could balance Helen and Selena. He thought he had been careful. As for Helen, she had just been a past obsession. He had been angry that she left with another man and had almost gone mad trying to keep her by his side forever. But she was just the one hidden away, not deliberately letting Selena know about their relationship. After all, the person he truly loved, since that year when he lost his sight, would always be Selena. But he never expected it. She had learned Italian. She understood their conversation, and she had figured everything out. But how could she be so heartless? He had only been obsessed with the past, and he had only felt pity for Helen. How could she deactivate all her information and completely disappear from his world? His vision blurred, and tears welled up, slowly clouding his sight. He thought back to those years when Selena had been by his side. In the complete darkness, it had been only Selena's voice that had been firm and warm. "Don't be afraid, Justin. I'll always be by your side. Forever? As long as you don't do anything to hurt me. Of course, it will be forever." At that time, Justin had held the young girl in his arms, his voice choked with emotion. "I would never hurt you, Seal. Then it's settled. You'll always stay by my side." But when had everything changed? Was it Helen's repeated pleas, or Helen's tearful and pitiful face? Gradually, he had begun to take Selena's presence for granted. He started thinking of the person who had abandoned him, and that person, coincidentally, had fallen from grace, waiting for him to save her. He had been so confident, thinking he could hold everything in his hands. But he had forgotten, although Selena only had him, she had never been one to settle for compromise. Rather than suffer internally, she chose to leave him completely. Selena knew him too well. She knew that if Justin found out she was leaving, he would do everything to stop her and would use any means to make her stay. So, she left everything behind, including all the ways he could find her, and completely disappeared from his world. Once he understood all of this, Justin suppressed the unwillingness in his heart. "Seal, it's impossible. I can't let you go." He muttered Selena's name again and again, his eyes filled with longing for her. "Seal, it's my fault. I shouldn't have treated you this way for the sake of another woman. You can do whatever you want to me. Hit me, curse me, whatever. But can you just not leave my side?" He had apologized countless times, his voice now hoarse, but the one who should have heard it was no longer by his side. No matter how much he said, it was all in vain. "Selena, I will find you. No matter where you are, we will meet again." Justin's eyes darkened with determination as he spoke resolutely. He would never let go. Selena would always be his. He would admit his mistakes, kneel and apologize, and find ways to make her forgive him. But he would never allow Selena to leave him. With determination in his eyes, Justin trembled as he opened his phone's photo album and kissed the photo of her in the phone, as if making a sacred vow. Chapter 14. The plane landed in Melbourne right at midnight. The immigration officer flipped through the documents and asked some routine questions. "Ms. Selena, how long do you plan to stay in Australia?" "Hello. I received an offer from a company in Melbourne, and my work visa has already been arranged. I plan to work here for 2 years." Hearing her fluent English, the immigration officer didn't trouble her further, stamped her passport, and let her go. Selena thanked him politely, picked up her luggage, and left the airport. She took out her newly bought phone to search for the hotel's location and hailed a taxi. The driver was an Australian of Asian descent. As soon as he saw her face, he immediately started a conversation with her. Hearing Mandarin in a foreign land, Selena felt a sense of warmth. While chatting along the way, the driver gave her lots of tips about Melbourne, which she made sure to note down. When they arrived at the hotel, they exchanged contact information before parting ways. The driver helped her with her luggage and took it to the elevator before leaving. Selena opened the door with her room key and, seeing the clean and tidy room, felt the tension in her body finally relax. She unpacked, went downstairs for dinner, then returned to wash up and quickly fell asleep in the soft bed. A peaceful sleep. The next afternoon, around 2 o'clock, she woke up groggily, seeing the completely unfamiliar room. Selena felt a little disoriented. It took her about 5 minutes to realize that she had left her hometown and arrived in a completely new country. It was the peak of summer in Melbourne, and the weather was hot. She pulled out a few skirts to wear, went out for lunch, and then took a taxi to the company's neighborhood, planning to check out the apartment she had already reserved. The landlord arrived on time and handed her the apartment key. After entering her new home, she took a quick tour of the place, noted what she needed to buy, and then hired a cleaner to tidy up the place. In the evening, she returned to the apartment with her luggage and settled in. Over the next few days, Selena bought many essentials, and the once empty apartment slowly began to fill up. She organized her things while contacting the roommate who would arrive in a few days. Slowly, she began to adapt to her new life. With her excellent cooking skills and the presence of several nearby schools, she, being young herself, naturally blended in with the international student crowd and quickly became friends with 2 neighboring girls. They took her out shopping, introduced her to nearby restaurants, and showed her around local attractions. She worked at the company while spending her free time exploring the city with them, and life became quite fulfilling. One morning, there was a noise outside her door, rubbing her sleepy eyes. She stepped out of her bedroom and saw a shy girl in her 20s pushing a suitcase. Greeting her, "Hello, are you Selena? I'm Victoria, your roommate." Selena remembered that her roommate had mentioned arriving in Melbourne today. She quickly greeted her, helped her with the luggage, and showed her around the apartment. By the end of the morning, the 2 who had only chatted online before quickly became familiar with each other. In the afternoon, they went grocery shopping together. Victoria was still a student and was about to start classes in a few days. Selena cooked a whole spread and invited a few friends she had met earlier for dinner. After spending some time together, everyone had become much closer. Chapter 15. Aside from Selena, everyone else had had a few drinks, their faces flushed, clearly a little drunk. It was unclear who started it. But suddenly, the conversation turned to ex-boyfriends. Some people were laughing so hard they were nearly in tears, while others had tears in their eyes. Some stories were so strange that Victoria couldn't stop laughing, and absent-mindedly nudged Selena, the only one still sober next to her. "Selena, what about you?" Selena paused for a moment, and her mind involuntarily drifted back to the past. For some reason, she felt it was a bit hard to talk about. After all this time, she actually didn't feel sad when thinking about Justin. It was just that, looking at these younger girls, all of whom were still students, she really didn't know how to start the conversation. The atmosphere fell into silence for a moment. Victoria sensed the awkwardness and quickly changed the subject, not wanting to make Selena uncomfortable. After everyone had left, Victoria, now slightly sober, came over and apologized carefully. "Sorry, Selena. I drank too much, and I said some thoughtless things." Selena, of course, didn't hold it against her. She smiled and ruffled the poor girl's head, urging her to go rest. Once the room was tidied up, Selena washed up and lay on her bed. She opened the new Instagram account she had registered after coming to Australia. She had only told one friend about this Instagram, and no one else knew where she had gone or what her new contact information was. Looking at the dozens of messages on her phone, with more continuously coming in, Selena widened her eyes in surprise. She opened the messages and briefly skimmed through them, realizing that almost all of them were related to Justin. Is Justin crazy? Wasn't he with that white moonlight of his, living happily? But as soon as you left, it's like he suddenly had a breakthrough, realizing your importance. Hilarious. Does he really think he's the male lead in a chasing the wife drama? That a few regrets can make him get his lover back? He keeps coming to me, asking where you went. But don't worry, sis, I won't tell him your location. Oh, and a month ago, Justin had a huge argument with his mom at his family's dinner. I overheard a bit, and it seems like he was blaming his mom for driving you away. This guy really is messed up. What does it have to do with his mom? The main problem is his indecisiveness and trying to deceive you, right? He's been drinking heavily lately. I heard he nearly had a stomach perforation the other day and had to be rushed to the ICU. The doctors warned him to stop drinking. But honestly, he's just lucky he didn't drink himself to death. There were many more messages cursing Justin. After receiving so many messages about Justin, Selena no longer felt any emotional stir. She almost felt like those events were from a past life. She pulled back the curtains. The sky outside was clear and blue, as if it were a perfectly polished sapphire. The warm sunlight was radiant, dispelling the chill in her body. "Selena, I'm off to class." Outside, she heard the cheerful voice of the young girl. Selena smiled, called out to her to be careful on the road, then opened her phone, her voice filled with relief and contentment. "From now on, I don't want to hear anything about Justin." The sense of unreality that had lingered in her heart completely dissipated. Chapter 16. When Justin woke up again, everything around him was a blur of white. The strong smell of disinfectant filled the air. The after effects of the alcohol were still spreading through his body. His head felt heavy, and his stomach felt full, sour, and painful. He stared blankly at his surroundings, the blurry images gradually becoming clearer. Mrs. Jean had red eyes, as if she was furious. "Look at you, acting like this for a woman. What's so special about her? She's just the daughter of a servant. What do you even see in her?" A few of his brothers gathered around, trying to persuade him. "Selena has been gone for a month with no word. She's clearly doing this on purpose. Justin, just let it go." These words, Justin had heard countless times over the past month. He had never paid attention to them, and even now, they were nothing more than background noise. His eyes, bloodshot and unfocused, were full of stubbornness. His thin lips were tightly pressed together, and his face, covered with stubble, showed only defiance. Seeing his appearance, Mrs. Jean didn't want to say anything more. Without even sparing him a glance, she slammed the door and left. The room immediately fell silent. The brothers exchanged glances, considering whether to speak again. "With your current status, you could have any woman you want. Justin, there's no need to keep holding on to Selena. You should show her that you can do better without her, that you'll have more women, and that she'll end up with nothing. In the end, she'll come crawling back. Yeah, if not, we'll find some women who look like Selena. You can train them, and it'll be the same, right? Don't you think?" Bang! The sound of a glass breaking at their feet echoed in the room, and the splashing water soaked their pants. But all of them fell silent, too afraid to breathe. Before, they had looked down on Selena for loyally staying by blind Justin's side. A blind man was just a discarded heir from a wealthy family. Even someone like him had people who were willing to please him. But gradually, that disdain turned into jealousy. Each of them was a young master of a wealthy family, surrounded by women who came and went. But none of them had ever met a woman as genuinely devoted as Selena. They couldn't help but recommend women to Justin. But even after regaining his sight and becoming a sought-after figure in his industry, he never showed any interest in anyone else, wholeheartedly cherishing Selena, until Helen returned. While pretending to advise Justin, they secretly created opportunities for them. Sure enough, this time they succeeded. Justin's love for Selena had faded, and it was clear that Selena needed to realize there was no such thing as true love in this world. Now that Selena had left, they had thought that Justin would completely let go, but they hadn't expected him to suddenly go mad. Now, they couldn't even say a word without fear of his reaction. "Get out! Don't let me hear any more disrespectful words about Selena from you. Otherwise, I can't guarantee what I might do to your family." His cold words made everyone's faces pale with fear. One by one, they left the hospital room with excuses. The last man to leave, still unwilling, closed the door and pulled out his phone to send a picture of Selena to his assistant. "Take a good look at this woman's appearance, and find me someone who looks like her. The more she looks like her, the better." He turned and coldly stared at the closed door. He was curious to see how Justin would play it now. Chapter 17. After staying in the hospital for a few days, Justin decided to discharge himself early. The day after he discovered Selena had left, he scheduled a divorce with Helen. The 30-day cooling-off period had passed, and he needed to get the divorce certificate as soon as possible. Although Helen had cried and pleaded that day, she ultimately said nothing. She simply followed him to register for the divorce procedures, her misty eyes fixed on him as she told him to be happy. Justin had his own frustrations with Helen, but seeing her act so understanding, He ultimately couldn't bring himself to blame her. He even agreed not to disclose their divorce to the outside world for the time being. He drove to Helen's home, and as he reached the door, he was about to open it when he heard voices coming from inside. That bitch Selena. After seeing those messages, why didn't she just go die? Playing the missing person act. It's been a month, and why hasn't Justin let go? What's so good about that bitch? But luckily, I'm already pregnant. 3 months along now, the fetus is stable, and once I tell Justin's family, even if Justin throws a tantrum, he won't be able to divorce me. What are you jealous of? I've always loved you, even though this baby is his. The next one will definitely be yours. Okay? The fragmented words stabbed into Justin's heart like sharp blades. Relentless and unforgiving. His breath quickened, and his eyes turned bloodshot with rage. The door slammed open, and Helen instinctively hung up the phone. Her face turned flustered as she looked towards the door, forcing a smile. Justin, aren't you still recovering? How come you discharged yourself? Who were you talking to? His lips parted slightly, his gaze as cold as ice. At the mention of the phone call, Helen's pupils constricted. She quickly tucked the loose strands of hair behind her ears, trying to compose herself. Justin, I was just talking to a friend. She asked me if I liked any of King's new products. I was feeling a bit sad about us separating, so I just brushed her off. What's going on? The man sneered, stepping closer with each step. Who did you call a bitch? Who's jealous? Helen's face turned pale instantly. She grabbed Justin's sleeve, her eyes full of pleading. No, Justin, you misunderstood. My friend was just jealous that I've been with you and didn't go shopping with her. She didn't call anyone a bitch. Justin yanked her hand off him, his eyes darkening with cold emotion. What exactly have you been doing behind my back? Don't make me investigate. You must have said or done something to force Selena to leave. She started crying again, just like before, tears rolling down her face as she sniffled and sobbed. I didn't. Justin, I only found out when you told me. I didn't do anything, but this time, it didn't soften Justin's heart. He grabbed her wrist. His expression twisted, and the pressure in his hand increased, as if he wanted to crush her delicate wrist. Helen, I don't have the patience to play along with your act. You better tell me the truth, and everything you know, or else, you know I'm not the type to show mercy. Chapter 18. Helen's tears stopped flowing, and her hands hung limply at her sides. She looked at Justin in confusion, unable to understand why his attitude towards her had changed so quickly. In the past, as soon as she cried, he would always be the most anxious to comfort her. But now, all that remained in his eyes was indifference. It was as if, even if she had cried all her tears, it wouldn't have made a difference to him. Helen dared not speak about her provocations toward Selena, nor the intentional schemes she had set up. She tightly shut her mouth, almost in despair, silently pleading with him. Justin, I haven't done anything. Please believe me. Miss Seal is such a good person. You've helped me so much, and I'm so grateful. How could I ever do anything bad to her? Although she has never liked me. And yes, this time she was throwing a tantrum for a bit too long. But Justin, please don't treat me like this just because she left. As she spoke, she squeezed out a few more tears. Justin had always been easy to talk to, so she could only hope he would soften and let this matter slide. After all, he might not have heard everything, and even if he had, she could just say it was something her friend said, that she was just trying to mediate, as long as he didn't mind. And after revealing that she was carrying his child, the daily closeness, along with their past relationship, would surely make him care only for her. But the man before her had completely changed from his usual indulgence. He sneered coldly, a mocking smile curling at the corner of his lips. You really don't learn until it's too late. After all these years, you still don't understand what kind of person I am? Helen, my patience has limits. With that, he slammed her head onto the table and gripped her neck with his hand, choking her. If that's the case, then I'll just tell your family about your little secret. I'm sure they'll be happy to take you back. The suffocating pain seemed less intense than Justin's threat. In her mind, she could still see her father's ugly face when he said he would marry her off to that old man. Helen was panicking, almost losing her mind in fear. No, please. Don't tell them. I'll tell you everything. Justin, I'll tell you everything. Once she gave him this response, Justin slowly released his grip. Speak. Cough. Cough. The cold air rushing into her throat made her cough violently, but she dared not stop, gasping for breath as she weakly said, You can check my phone. As she spoke, she fumbled to unlock the phone and handed it over. I didn't do anything. It's all a misunderstanding. Helen secretly rejoiced, glad that she had deleted the messages where she had provoked Selena earlier. Justin glanced at the phone and immediately guessed she hadn't given up yet. Still pretending, he grabbed the phone and was about to send it to a specialist to recover all the data from the phone. When Helen heard Justin making the call, she felt like the sky was falling down on her. She quickly clung to Justin's arm, desperately pleading, Justin, please believe me, just this once. Don't send it for data recovery. However, this time, Justin was not prepared to give her another chance. He had already given her enough chances. But unfortunately, Helen hadn't appreciated them. Looking at Helen, now collapsed on the floor, he calmly instructed his assistant to investigate what Helen had done to Selena before. Chapter 19. The investigation findings and the recovered chat data were delivered to Justin's home the next day. He repurchased everything that had once belonged to Selena, identical in every detail, and placed them back in their original spots. Every time he returned home, he felt a fleeting illusion that Selena was still there. But gone was gone. Without Selena, the entire villa was lifeless, as if all vitality had been drained away. Justin spent a long time mentally preparing himself before finally mustering the courage to click into the files. The latest message was from the day before Selena left, a secretly recorded video of them sharing a gentle kiss in front of the piano, taken by Helen at some unknown moment. There were also accompanying messages. You probably don't know this, but this is Justin's favorite place. I won't record what happens next. I'm afraid you won't be able to handle it. Do you think playing dumb is fun? How does it feel to knowingly be the other woman? No matter what, you'll always be a shameful mistress in the dark. If you're really that desperate, maybe you should beg me. I could convince Justin to visit you a few more times. How about that? Scrolling up, more ridicule and mockery flooded the screen. Their intimate photos and videos were countless. On Instagram, there were numerous affectionate posts, visible only to Selena. Justin was already consumed by an overwhelming rage, but when he opened a specific folder and saw its contents, his furious expression froze, and his entire body went cold, as if his blood had solidified. The thugs from the auction incident, Helen had arranged them herself. Yet that night, he had pushed Selena to the ground, ignored her bleeding forehead, and even forced her to drink alcohol she couldn't handle. He recalled the sorrow in her eyes that night, and the soft, bitter chuckle she let out after hearing his self-righteous accusations. Justin's heart suddenly clenched. Then the next moment, an unbearable pain tore through him, as if something had been ripped out of his chest, leaving him drenched in cold sweat. Bring Helen here. His voice was so cold and dark it could drip ice. Soon, Helen was dragged in. The moment her eyes landed on the scattered photos on the floor, she understood everything. Her face turned deathly pale. She dropped to her knees and crawled towards Justin, trembling. Justin, I'm sorry. I did something I shouldn't have. But it was only because I love you. It was out of love that I spoke those cruel words to her. But at the end of the day, all I wanted was to stand by your side openly. Justin let out a cold laugh and gripped Helen's chin with brutal force, leaving a deep purple bruise on her face. I told you more than once, I helped you. But you were never allowed to act that way in front of Seal. Do you not understand? Now that you've driven her away, you will bear the consequences. With that, he mercilessly flung Helen aside. But Helen, with reddened eyes, crawled back toward him, her voice shaking. Justin, I'm pregnant with your child. Please, for the sake of the baby, spare me. The man in front of her didn't spare her a single glance. Oh, I know you're pregnant, but so what? It's just a child. If I wanted one, I could have as many as I pleased. Who do you think you are to bear my child? Besides, wouldn't it be more convenient to get rid of this one now, so you can carry that other man's child instead? Chapter 20. Upon hearing this, Helen completely panicked. She tightly protected her stomach. Yu's family was no longer what it used to be. They had been teetering on the edge of bankruptcy for some time. If she couldn't protect the child, she would have no way of securing her position as Mrs. Kim. In fact, it was highly likely that she would be handed over to that old pervert, to be toyed with by him. Her face turned pale as paper, and she instinctively grabbed her phone to call Mrs. Jean. Mrs. Jean cared most about children. Once she knew that Helen was pregnant, she would surely find a way to keep her position. Without hesitation, Justin kicked the phone out of her hand as she was about to dial, stood up, and used the tip of his shoe to lift Helen's chin, coldly saying, "Just obediently get rid of the child. The divorce procedures are already done. Whether you agree or not doesn't matter. Stop thinking about those ridiculous tricks. Once I find Seal, you'd better apologize to her properly. If she's willing to forgive you, I might leave you with a way out." He didn't give Helen any chance to refuse. In front of him, she would forever be the one trying to please. Helen collapsed to the floor in an utterly ungracious manner, but still didn't forget to protect her abdomen. As long as the child could be safely born, her future life wouldn't be so badly affected. But Justin wasn't planning to give her that opportunity. He had already done so many things to hurt Seal. If the child stayed, there would be no chance for him and Seal at all. Justin's expression suddenly turned grim. He directly ordered his bodyguards to drag Helen to the hospital. Helen tried to struggle and resist countless times, crying and begging for mercy, but she still couldn't escape the hands of the bodyguards and was forced onto the cold operating table. The anesthetic was injected into her body, and she gradually lost control over her limbs, her eyelids uncontrollably closing. When she woke up again, her stomach was empty. The one thing she had hoped for was gone. The effect of the anesthesia began to wear off, and the intense pain tore at her. Moving even slightly was an unbearable challenge. Tears streamed down her face. The child was gone, and her only hope for the future had been completely shattered. Meanwhile, Justin returned to the nightclub he frequently visited, drinking away his frustrations in the private room. He had no idea how long it had been since he had gotten a good night's sleep. The scent of Selena in the house was fading, and he could barely feel that Selena had lived in that mansion for so long. He couldn't bring himself to go back, so he escaped here, drinking bottle after bottle. "Sorry, Seal, didn't you hate it when I drank? Come out and stop me, Seal." Just then, there was a knock at the door. He didn't want to answer it. Only a few of his brothers knew about this private room, and he hadn't told them he was coming, so the person knocking was probably at the wrong room. But the knocking continued, and when he didn't respond, the door was pushed open. "Get out!" Before he could finish his harsh words, he looked up and froze, staring at the girl who had walked in, pushing a cart of drinks and snacks. "Hello, did you order the drinks here?" The familiar voice rang in his ears, and his eyes instantly filled with tears. Seal? Chapter 21. The young girl in front of him took 2 steps back, her brow furrowing slightly, as if confused. "Who did you say?" The expression, the movements, the face, and the voice were almost identical. For a moment, he truly thought the girl in front of him was Selena, but from the confusion in her eyes, it was clear that she was not. The girl in front of him was younger, perhaps still under 20, resembling Selena from her university years more than the woman he had known. He controlled the impulse to pull her into his arms, his voice trembling. "What's your name?" The girl seemed startled, stepping back 2 more steps. "Sorry, I think I've come to the wrong room." She turned to leave, but Justin grabbed her hand. His hand was still trembling, and warm tears rolled down his cheeks, dripping onto the girl's hand. The girl hesitated, stopped, and pulled a tissue from the cart to hand it to him. What's wrong with you? You should wipe your face." When he looked up again, Justin's eyes had cleared, and his gaze on the girl was filled with complexity. "Do you work here? Quit, and come work for me. I'll pay you 10 times the salary." The girl stepped back again, suddenly jerking her hand away from him. "Who do you think I am?" She seemed really angry. This time, she didn't hesitate. She quickly pushed the cart away and left. Justin stood there, frozen, staring at the girl's hurriedly retreating back. She looked so much like her. His heart raced, and his mind told him he shouldn't continue pursuing this girl. If Selena found out, it would be over for him, but a voice in his head kept echoing. He wouldn't do anything to this girl. He just wanted to see her face. That's all. It would be fine. Once he found Selena again, he would find a way to send this girl away, never letting her appear in front of Selena again. In the end, the voice in his mind gradually overcame his reasoning. He pulled out his phone and called the owner of the club. In less than half an hour, information about the girl was sent to him. The girl's name was Julie. She was still in college, but her only relative had suddenly fallen seriously ill. She had no choice but to come here to work, as the pay was relatively high and she occasionally received tips. She had just started working here recently, mainly doing tasks like serving tea and water. Bring her here. Justin's voice was low as he stared at the photo of Julie in his hands. His gaze was unfocused, as if he was looking through her and seeing someone else. Soon, the girl appeared in front of him again. She looked at him cautiously, her expression nervous, a look Selena would never have shown. Don't look at me like that. I'm not going to eat you. Justin's tone unconsciously carried a hint of impatience. Stay with me. I'll cover all your mother's medical expenses. But you must listen to me about your clothes and appearance. Julie seemed a bit flustered and helpless. The bodyguards behind her blocked her way, and she could only look up at the man standing before her. What do I need to do? Staring at her face, which resembled Selena's by about 8/10, he once again lost focus. You don't need to do anything. Just stay with me. I'll take care of everything for you. You just need to do as I say. And the first thing is, promise me you won't leave me again. Seal. Chapter 22. After bringing Julie by his side, it seemed that he began to mention Selena less and less. In fact, he indulged in Julie's increasingly arrogant behavior, even allowing her to start posting about her daily life with Justin on social media. The powerful CEO saved the helpless girl trapped in the nightclub, and her account quickly went viral. The latest post even showed Justin preparing a lavish birthday party for her and publicly proposing to her at the event. The proposal video was uploaded, and her short video account exploded again, quickly reaching the ranks of top influencers in just 2 months. At the end of the video, she mentioned the wedding, which was scheduled for 2 weeks later, and stated that it would be streamed live. Time passed quickly, and the 2 weeks were soon over. Despite the short time, Justin didn't skimp on the wedding. The entire wedding was extremely extravagant, and many media outlets were invited to stream it live. The event even made it to the trending topics, holding the #1 spot on social media without dropping. At midnight, the wedding officially began. All the proceedings went as planned during the rehearsal until the officiant asked, "Mr. Justin, do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold, in sickness and in health, for richer or poorer, to love and cherish for as long as you both shall live?" Justin raised a slight smile, but his voice was as cold as ice. "I do not." Julie stared at him in disbelief, grabbing Justin's hand. "Justin, are you joking?" But Justin shoved her hand away, watching as she stumbled and fell to the ground due to the height of her heels. He looked down at her from above. "What do you think you are? You think you deserve to marry me? Don't think I don't know who sent you here." Julie was immediately left speechless. Justin, however, remained surprisingly calm, signaling for all the live stream cameras to continue. The live stream room had exploded at this point, with countless viewers flooding in to watch the scene unfold. The comments were filled with exclamation points and question marks. "This woman is a friend of mine. No. Now I can say she was sent by my opponent. They had her mimic my lover's appearance. I pretended to fall for it, secretly encouraged her to set up an account, and constantly boosted her content. All for today's live stream. Selena, I truly know I was wrong. You will always be my only wife. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I will find you. I swear. You promised me you'd always be by my side." To all the viewers, if anyone knows where Selena is and can provide relevant information, I am willing to offer a generous reward. Thank you. Behind him, the large screen that had been showing the video with Julie suddenly flickered, and then switched to a photo of Selena. The next second, the live stream was abruptly cut off. Mrs. Jean stood at the edge of the stage, her face pale with anger. As she hung up the phone, She had been the one to cut off the stream. Looking at the man on stage, whose eyes were filled with madness, she felt nothing but disappointment. The farce ended with Julie being dragged away, while Justin, surrounded by his brothers, got into the car. Justin, why did you have to go to such lengths? There are plenty of ways to find Selena, but now you've really upset Auntie. Justin leaned back in the back seat, looking at the many trending topics related to him on his phone, and gave a long-lost smile. This is the only way to get more people to see it. The netizens will help me find Seal's whereabouts. As long as she comes back, I don't care about anything else. Chapter 23. Selena had planned to wash up and go to bed. Just after drying her hair, there was a loud knock at the door. Selena was a bit stunned. Instinctively opening the door, Victoria stood at the door, her lips pressed tightly together, her expression unusually serious. Selena, you seem to be trending on social media in China. Saying that, she handed her phone to Selena. The trending topics all included Justin's name, and one of them was hashtag Justin confesses love to Selena, where are you now hashtag. The screen was flooded with Selena's photos, but no one had mentioned where she was yet. Selena's expression froze. She took the phone from Victoria, carefully looking at the trending topics. Her brow furrowed in confusion. Victoria didn't ask further but looked at Selena with some concern. Selena didn't react too much, only letting out a small sigh, resigning herself to it. It's me. Justin is my ex. After we broke up, I left the country. The room fell silent for a moment after hearing this gossip. Victoria was stunned for a while before finally speaking. Huh? If you broke up, why make such a big scene? Isn't that going to cause you trouble? Selena rubbed her forehead, feeling a little helpless. There is some trouble, but I've left the country, and he can't leave his country due to some reasons, so it shouldn't have much of an impact. Victoria's expression turned serious. It's still better to be cautious. He seems really extreme, and someone at the company will probably recognize you. Maybe you should wear a hat when you go out recently. Looking at the genuinely worried Victoria, Selena forced a smile. It's fine. He can't go abroad anyway. Victoria didn't seem to be reassured, nodding in a bit of a sulk. She even took out her own hat. Take it with you when you go out. It can block some of it and also protect you from the sun. Selena took the hat and, in an attempt to ease the mood, joked with her. It's just an ex-boyfriend. No need to be so nervous. Justin going crazy in such an important event shows that he's the kind of person with problems. I've seen a lot of news about ex-boyfriends who, driven by love, ended up doing extreme things. Selena, I'm really worried that he'll keep bothering you or that something will happen to you. Hearing this girl, whom she had only known for a few months, express such concern, Selena's heart softened. She took her hand gently and patted it. I've been with him for many years. Even though he's done a lot of things to hurt me, he probably won't be that extreme. And he won't hurt me. Don't worry. Although she said this with a smile, Victoria remembered how silent Selena had been when talking about her ex a few days ago, and she could vaguely guess that this relationship had caused her a lot of pain. Victoria didn't know how to comfort her, and after thinking hard, she could only come up with a few words. It will pass. Selena, you've already walked out of that pit. Just look forward, and we're here with you. I have many friends, and if he dares to make trouble, I'll get my friends to protect you. Seeing her determined eyes, Selena's anxiety slowly faded away. She couldn't help but laugh. All right. Thank you, Shimin. The days that used to be so hard were behind her. Now she was abroad, with many friends willing to protect her. What else was there to worry about? Chapter 24. The online discussions about Justin's infatuation became more and more widespread, and some extreme netizens even began to curse Selena, believing she was ungrateful. It wasn't until one of Justin's close friends, who had been targeted by him, was nearly driven to bankruptcy, that he began to reveal the inside story. Selena is a really good girl. Justin lost his sight for his ex-girlfriend, and it was Selena who silently stayed by his side, helping him out of the darkness, and even successfully waited for his sight to return. After his sight returned, Justin's mother suddenly changed her attitude and started looking down on Selena. But Justin protected her, and they were still affectionate with each other. Unfortunately, Helen came back. She's Justin's ex-girlfriend. She shed a few tears and made Justin foolishly marry her, trying to hide it from Selena. During this time, Helen constantly framed Selena, while the so-called deeply affectionate man you all praise protected Helen, constantly tormenting Selena. In the end, it wasn't surprising that Selena ran away and disappeared. You netizens are also naive. You just believe whatever they say. You really think he's so affectionate? Affectionately marrying someone else. Affectionately letting someone else bear his child. Then when things escalated, he had the child aborted, and personally sent his ex-girlfriend to the bed of an old pervert. You like him so much. I hope you find a true love like Justin. With that, Justin's public image completely collapsed. Although Justin's family quickly removed the trending topics, the speed at which netizens responded and turned their backs was even faster. Selena's whereabouts were almost discovered. But because of this, everyone who had originally planned to share the news with him blocked him after cursing him out. Justin went mad, starting to target the ones who had once been his friends, now enemies. Some were even driven to bankruptcy, left with huge debts. It seemed like there was no hope left. One day, when Justin was out driving, one of his old friends, not knowing where he had gotten a van, slammed the accelerator and crashed directly into him. The van was too old and its front was completely destroyed. The friend died on the spot, but Justin's car, due to its good safety features, was not in immediate danger. However, his body suffered severe damage, his organs rapidly failing. His eyes, too, were irreparably damaged by the crash, and he would never regain his sight again. When Justin woke up, everything in front of him was pitch black. He tried to sit up, but it felt like he had fallen into a cloud. His body was light, soft, and powerless. What's going on? What happened to me? Having lost his sight once again, he felt an extreme panic. The darkness merged with his past nightmares. His voice trembled as he repeatedly called out Selena's name, but there was no response. Only the bodyguard, irritated by the noise, who threw a remark. "Stop making noise. You're still pretending to be the young master? The madam has spoken. As long as you're alive, that's good enough. If not, you can just die. Don't show yourself in public again." His voice was hoarse. "What do you mean?" The bodyguard was about to reply, but the sound of footsteps from the door interrupted, followed by Helen's mocking voice in his ear. "You're blind now, and your life's over. Don't you understand what that means in our circle? Mom saved me from that pervert and told me to stay with you. After all, you're still her son." He couldn't see the woman's expression in front of him, only feeling her slowly approach. She then reached out and grabbed his chin with the same force she used when she revealed the truth to him. "Justin, it's so good. People like us should go to hell together." In response, Justin let out a painful groan. Chapter 25. The next 2 New Year's Eves were spent by Selena in Australia. Every year, Victoria's parents would come over to celebrate, and Victoria would always drag Selena along with her family. As time passed, they spent more time together, and their personalities and values aligned well, gradually growing closer. That year, all of Victoria's family business had been transferred to Melbourne, and they were planning to settle down there. Victoria kept asking if Selena had plans to stay. Selena had thought about this question for a long time. She had no immediate family left, as her parents had passed away, and her few close friends in her home country had all gotten married. She was alone and had no assets or property. Considering both her social connections and her current work situation, she felt that staying would be the better choice. Her work was going well, and she had saved up enough money to buy a house. She had even considered returning the money that Mrs. Jean had given her, but Victoria had stopped her. The young girl angrily poked her. "Are you stupid? You took care of a blind person for so long, and all of this is what you deserve. Why return it?" Selena never brought it up again and began preparing her immigration documents. In the meantime, Victoria's family had been a huge help to her, helping her through many difficulties. With enough money in hand and a solid business background, she decided to open her own studio, turning down a promotion her boss had offered. Over the next 2 years, her studio grew steadily and eventually became successful. After 4 years, Selena met the immigration requirements and successfully obtained her permanent residency. when she went back to her home country to complete some paperwork. She met with some friends she hadn't seen in a long time. Time had passed, and everyone had changed. But when they got together, it felt like no time had passed at all. However, the most pressing question from everyone was her love life. Facing their enthusiastic gossip, Selena was open and honest. "I dated someone a couple of years ago, but we broke up because of personality differences. Now we're business partners. My current boyfriend is someone I started dating earlier this year. He's 2 years younger than me and a student at Melbourne University, but he's very mature." She spoke with a bright and unmistakable happiness, sharing stories of their daily lives, photos, and videos. Looking at the affectionate couple on the screen, everyone couldn't help but smile. After a while, someone brought up Justin. "Hey, have you heard? Justin seems like he's not doing well." Upon hearing this, Selena's heart skipped a beat, and she instinctively looked up. For the past few years, she had been busy with work and adapting to the new environment, rarely asking about what was happening back home. Victoria probably knew something, but had never mentioned it out of concern for her. Though she occasionally talked about the past with Zhao Siki, she always felt like that time was shrouded in mist, unclear and distant, and Justin's name had become like an old photo, faded and yellowed over time. She had thought that he would slowly get over their relationship and gradually move on to live his own life. But now, it seemed like he was living a miserable life, and his very life was in danger? The room fell silent for a moment as everyone carefully observed Selena's reaction. Seeing only shock on her face, they all breathed a sigh of relief and continued chatting. "I heard about it too, Seal, but you told me before that you didn't want to know anything about him, so I never mentioned it. After all, it's a sad story." "Sad? It's his own fault. He treated Selena so badly for Helen, and after she came back, he went mad. In the end, he was hit by his friend's car and lost his sight again. Now he's ruined. I don't know what Mrs. Jean is thinking, letting Helen take care of him. She's been hanging on to life, but it's been hard for her too." So much time had passed that Selena couldn't even remember what that woman's name was. Hearing Helen's name again, she froze for a moment, hearing that these two people, who had completely altered her life, had ended up like this. She couldn't help but feel a bit of sympathy. Even though she had a brief moment of confusion, it was just for an instant. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She snapped out of her thoughts and took out her phone. It was a call from Victoria. "Selena, when will you be done? My mom made your favorite jam. When you come back, I'll send you 2 jars. I'll be back tomorrow." Everything from the past was starting to fade, and she stared out the window. The sun was shining brightly, just as it had the year she left.